Hello, welcome to Penguins Wanderlust. So today I thought I would talk about food to bring to Burning Man, because I've gone 6 times and so I have a bunch of opinions about food for Burning Man. We started off not being very successful food-wise. Our first year we flew to Reno and then rented a car and went to the playa. And the first year we mostly just got puddings and baked beans and nuts and stuff like that. And we kept them in the back of the minivan that we rented. Two things about that. By the end of the week, we weren't interested in anything that we had because I think the cans were starting to go kind of bad from the heat. Also, when we went to leave, it didn't start because every time we went in and out, it turned on the lights and it drained the battery. So we had to get a boost in order to leave the playa, and it just wasn't very good to be sort of starving all week, because there really isn't anywhere you can go if you haven't really packed the right food. The second year we took a lot of those backpacking meals. I had heard all this stuff about, oh, you just put it on top of your car and it'll cook and it'll be fine. Well, it wasn't really fine, and it wasn't good. So anyway, what we now do, which works, is we go to the Save On Foods in Reno, and I buy a bunch of the signature meals that are near the front section. They're not frozen, but they're all there's a really good selection. We have, they're Safeway actually, Safeway stores. We used to have one on Vancouver Island, but they said that there was a monopoly, and so you have to go to Vancouver now if you want a Safeway store. But there's way more choice in the American stores for the signature meals. So you just like fill up a cooler with ice and with the ready-made meals, and then you just need a camp stove, either a propane stove or a butane stove. The propane ones, generally you have 2 elements, and the butane ones you have 1 big element, but the butane ones I prefer. They heat up really well, they're really efficient, the fuel is cheaper. Do not wait until you're in Reno to try and buy fuel for your camp stove, because it was really hard to find butane fuel in Reno one summer. So try and get it before if you can. Don't leave it to the last minute if you're driving. For coolers, if you can afford a Yeti cooler, those are the best. They keep everything really cool. For snacks, things like cashews, beef jerky is really good to have because the salt is good when you're hot in the desert. You want to have something like Emergency, which is like flavored crystals. It's like EMERGEN and then a capital C. Those are for your electrolytes. You can mix that with water and it'll keep you in sort of balance with because you're going to lose a lot of moisture out of your body from the heat. For the butane stoves and the propane ones, the butane ones are pretty easy to use. The propane stove that I first took camping, I had to ask people how to use it. So it's good to make sure you know how to use your camping gear before you get to the desert. There are places on the playa, there are theme camps that do have food and meals. There's like midnight poutine, which is like French fries with cheese, curds, and gravy over it. And they serve it like at midnight. But it's really hard to get to the lineups for the different food camps in time while they have food, and you may spend over an hour waiting in line, but it is an option. If you're going to do that route for trying to get meals, then look online for the theme camps and find out which ones are food, and take the list with you. And it may or may not be in the same part of Black Rock City that you're camped in. But really, the instant foods in the cooler are really good, because when you get to camp and you want to eat, you don't have very much time to camp, like to eat. Maybe you have 10 minutes to make meals, if you're us, because we're always on the go. The best thing is you just open the instant meal and you throw it in a non-stick pan. Non-stick pans are great, because you don't want to have a lot of water when you're doing the dishes. Some people put a tiny amount of dish soap into a spray bottle, and then they just spray their plates and their dishes with it and wipe it with like a towel or a paper towel. Because if you have any water, you're going to have to deal with it, and you cannot put it on the surface of the playa. The other thing you can do, some camps, like Space Gnomes out of Calgary, they have a deal where you take a turn doing different things. So there's the ice gnome who goes and gets ice on the one particular day, or there's the chef gnomes that have to cook, or there's the dishwashing gnomes that have to clean up. They're not coming to the playa this year. They're taking a year off, but it sounded like kind of a cool camp to be in. There are camps like at regionals, at the borderland in Sweden, what they did for meals, because most people were coming from a long ways off, was they had a really big propane stove with lots of elements, and you were part of a team of like 5 people, and we went to the grocery store together and bought all of the groceries to feed like 60 people, because we were 2 camps that had the meals together, and then you would cook enough in your team for that meal, and you had to do 1 meal, and that's a good way. But for that to work, you have to make sure, like on the playa, that you actually have enough groceries, and you have to maintain the temperature of the groceries so that it stays good. The lamp lighting theme camp, I used to be on their emails. They decide a menu for the week, and then they get people to sign up to bring a particular ingredient, and then they'll take care of it in their kitchen, looking after it. So there's a variety of different approaches to looking after food, and you'll figure out what works for you. But I like the instant meals, and then you just worry about having some snacks, and that works pretty good. So hopefully you get to figure that out too.